me have a sip of my actual water.
Your actual water, as opposed to...
My milk and bean water.
I really don't want to hear about your bean water.
Hello and welcome to episode 99 of the MisanthroPod. I'm Snipe, and as always, I'm joined by Wib. Say hello.
Hello.
And I'm also joined by drummer Matt. Say 99!
99!
Yeah! Oh my goodness, how are you lovely gentlemen this day?
Doing okay. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. How are you, Snipe?
I am functioning within normal parameters.
You are absolutely not.
I am not. I've had 4 hours sleep yesterday and I'm kind of a bit jittery, so this is probably going to be one of those podcasts. Which is good that I'm getting out of the way before the super special 100th episode, which blows my fucking mind, might I add.
Yeah, so do you want to actually open mentioning that? Because, yeah,
Sure.
We're going to have a live episode for the next one, because it's the 100th, just like we did for the 50th.
But seeing as, there's like a very serious pandemic going on and a quarantine, we can't really be in the same place, which is fine. So we're just basically going to live stream it and try and fucking redneck-gineer something to make it that work. So
we will use the power, and it's a very complicated system, of webcams in order to appear as if we are all on screen at the same time.
But we won't be.
Well, we will be. That's why.
No, but we won't be in the same room, because that like camera trickery in modern day super science will make it look like we are.
Well, I mean, I guess
we aren't.
I guess, Matt, if you want to get yourself like a big green blanket behind you, I could chroma key you in.
Perfect.
Could you make him really small so he's like on my shoulder, or like he looks like he's behind me but far away?
Can you do those things live on the fly? Because
yes,
yeah, it's possible.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to.
That means if drummer Matt says something silly, I can go, well, that's it. I'm going to eat you, and then I could just shrink him down and pretend to eat him, and then everyone will be like, ah.
Bold of you to assume that I will let you near the controls on a live episode.
That is a very good point, actually.
But yes, so we're not 100% sure on the date.
We will boost the heck out of it.
Yeah,
so.
we'll announce it as soon as we have a solid date. Because with various things, we might have to move things around. But yeah, so next episode will be a live one. May God have mercy on all of our souls. We also put out a new Codex Compliance, so check that out. It's on
comment, subscribe.
It's on the 4th edition of Codex Orcs. Well, more accurately, the 4th edition Codex Orcs. It doesn't work. Nah, it doesn't work like that. No. Which actually, someone pointed out, and I realised they were 100% correct. We never mentioned that it was also completely valid the entire way through 6th edition as well. So it was used through 4th, 5th, and 6th.
No one played 6th edition.
Well, people did play 6th edition, and they didn't like it, which is why 6th edition only lasted for like 2 years.
Yeah. So that's why no one remember. Well, that's why we didn't remember it, because fuck 6th edition.
We literally, I think I played like 2 games of 6th edition.
I think I played 1 and was like, nah, I'm good. And then just didn't play for 2 years.
As long as that, because I completely missed 7th.
Yeah, because I was still like, 6th was so bad. But anyway, I guess with like if we put like, I don't know, because we spoke a little bit about Warhammer. If we put it like in the title or something, then we'll get loads more views.
Is that why? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah.
We just mentioned Warhammer.
Fucking.
Are you talking about that very real conundrum we've had where we've talked about Warhammer in the episode and we're like, we know that if we put a 40k thing in the thumbnail, we always get more views, and you don't want to be cynical about it, but also
brought snick in the thumbnail. It rhymes with tits in the thumbnail.
But you did have to explain it, so...
Which makes it funny! funnier.
It actually does not in this instance.
Drummer Matt, can you back me up on this, please?
Because it doesn't. It's only really a half rhyme anyway, so
Yeah.
it's really
Again, that makes it thrice as funny.
it's just tenuous.
It's not.
Um,
Drummer Matt's
May- may
laughing.
I-
I mean,
That's- that-
I think you're wrong, but I also know how tired you are, and I don't dare tell you that you're wrong. So
Probably for the best, dear.
I suppose probably the best way to go about things is that in your present condition, it's probably wise for you not to make judgment calls about what is very funny.
I don't know what you mean.
Anyway, the Codex Compliance up. Next one's going to be The Lost and the Damned.
Yes, that's going to be a
yes.
big boy.
So I've written the intro to it already because I wrote it at the same time that I wrote the other one. So that means like 12 months ago.
Oh god, you're like the 50 Shades of Grey, like, movie adaptation of, like, Codex Compliant, but it's going to be good.
What the fuck are you talking about?
They basically wrote and filmed, like all of them in, like, the space of a year and a half, because they were like, oh shit, all these horny Karens are going to get really bored real fucking quick, so they just
I thought
did
they
that.
only filmed the second and third one back to back because they didn't know if they were going to get picked up for the other movies when they did the first one.
Oh shit, you're right, yeah. So the second and third ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the metaphor breaks down a little bit at that point.
No, not really.
Anyway, yes. Lost and the Damned, that'll be the next one. Hopefully will be out this month. But if it runs a little late, it's because those...
Quarantine and depression.
Well, yeah, I mean, there is that. But also, my God, is it difficult to try and narrow down the information in those old books. And this one's bigger than Slaves to Darkness.
You know what I can't wait for? The really clever people in the comments who are like, oh, but you forgot this. And it's like, no, Stephen, we didn't. This was a 25-minute video, and we couldn't literally read the entire book start to finish to you. We didn't forget it, we omitted it because it didn't fit with the flow of the narrative of the video.
The last of the Realm of Chaos books we did, there's literally a bit like that in the video.
I honestly still get mad about it.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's just like...
People saying, oh, you forgot to mention this drives me fucking nuts. Because it's like,
Yeah.
no, we didn't forget. We just didn't.
Yeah, because it's like... It's kind of like... It's
But
frustrating.
don't worry about it. It was good,
It's fine.
good times.
It's
Good
fine.
times.
Everything is fine. Good time.
Good
Good
times.
time. So we hope you're spending your like quarantine well. I hope if you're working from home, you're you know having a good one. Don't forget to have like 10 to half an hour like break. Like like every hour of work, you know, go up, have a walk around, get yourself a nice glass of water. Just take care of yourself because it can be really hard, especially like working from home, to just like to separate from work, and that's not very healthy for you. And it does kind of like it can mentally trap you in a box of constant stress, and it's not good for you.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Neither do I. No, but it's.
Oh, God.
Just like if nothing else, just be mindful that that is a thing that can happen, and unfortunately you do kind of have to like spatula your butt off like the computer desk or whatever.
It's one of the
And,
reasons
like-
why there's a recommendation sometimes of that you get changed into your work clothes to
Yeah.
do your work and then change out of them when you're done with your work, because then it helps create a separation.
Well, I mean, for a dominatrix, that's like a necessity, really.
Yes, but I feel that dominatrices, dominatrices,
I think both are correct.
I feel that they probably have other issues with getting their chosen career to function during a lockdown.
Well, I mean,
than simply having different changes of clothes.
I do hope that, you know, especially with like the prevalence of like OnlyFans and stuff, which is awesome because, you know, heck yeah, sex workers, that's real work and we should protect them. It's like, you know, dominatrixes or like, you know, any other kind of like sex worker can just basically sit on the computer and be like, hey, it's not quite my usual vibe, but here we go, this is a thing. So that's cool. But also, even dominatrixes need to have a separation from work and...
I was not suggesting they didn't.
No, I'm just saying, you know, that's like, it is a real thing. You kind of get a bit like... tied to work because you're working at home and then you're like the lines blur.
On a similar note, if you are working from home and doing your stuff for like, this might not be something you regularly do, try not to wank yourself to death.
Yeah, I had to say that when I had a mouthful of coffee, you bastard.
Just that bit of advice out there.
Is that a problem people have?
If someone's at home on their own and they've got work to do,
I mean, that being said,
you're at the computer, you've not got your boss looking at you.
okay, but like absolute power move, masturbate in the office while the boss is standing over you.
There's at least 15 reasons why that's bad.
Unless
Unless you're in a place that...
Well, what if you're a dominatrix?
Unless you work in a sperm bank and you're just topping up, I don't know.
That's not oh my god. Anyway. But yeah, apparently people wank themselves to death, and that's fine. If you're gonna be wanking while working, don't forget to, keep your intake of zinc up, because otherwise you'll look like the victims of the weird water, like, stabby thing from Tank Girl that dehydrates you.
I like how you managed to pick a reference that
you will get.
That I get.
And you're not happy about it.
80% of the audience will either not remember or will have not seen, because Tank Girl was not a movie that did well.
No,
nor is
it
good.
was terrible, but the comics are pretty good.
Yeah. Do you want to move into the main bulk of the episode?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, Wibbelet, what have you been up to? Tell us just a little bit.
I have not played any video games, I am afraid to say. Well, I mean, I have played video games, but
to be fair, you have been burning through some hobby stuff, so...
Yes, so the few bits and pieces I've been doing. I've been doing loads more with my Grot Rebellion army. I managed to get a Grot Cutter from Gorkamorka.
And it's
nice.
So good.
Which is really cool. I had the dilemma of what to run it as, because if you're not familiar with it, in Gorkamorka, the whole Rebel Grot thing happened, and because Grots went off, they're not actually able to assemble a lot of things themselves, because they basically don't understand how engines work. So
neither do orcs, but
yeah, no. Inherently, they just instinctively know how to build these weird ramshackle things.
Mechs basically have a genetic knowledge of how to build an engine.
And Grots don't have that, so they're just kind of fucking what? So
they have two vehicles, which are luggers and cutters. And cutters are ones that have sails. And they don't really have any weapons on the original models. So it was okay, so I want one because they're an intrinsic model to the old Grot Rebellion stuff, and since I'm doing a Grot Rebellion, I thought that'd be really fun to have.
Reminds me a bit of a catamaran.
They are a bit like catamaran, yeah.
I just think that's cool.
In a weird way, yeah. I do get it, because they look... It looks very much like a kind of Waterworld-y kind of thing.
Yeah, it's got a sail on it,
Yeah.
because they don't know how
it's
to work
Waterworld,
engines.
but with no water. So it's just a world.
Oh.
But...
Okay.
But yeah, they don't have any weapons on them, and so they sit in this kind of weird size thing where they're a lot taller than you think, but they are about the size of the old buggy models.
Okay.
And so you do sit there and you go, okay, what could I run these as? And you're like, well, I can run them as buggies, but the old buggies are a Legends unit now, so I kind of prefer to have them be a unit that will actually get updated and amended. So it's okay, well, what else is there? Well, I mean, I could run them as Grot tanks.
They're cool.
Because they're about the same size. So, well, actually, they're bigger than Grot tanks, but they're spindly, so it's fine. And then the randomized movement that Grot tanks have would make sense because they're wind-powered. That would kind of work with them. But Grot tanks also have a 4+ invulnerable save, which doesn't feel right for something that is made literally out of a few scraps of metal and a large sheet that they presumably stole off someone's bed. So the other option is to run them as war bikes. Now, they're a lot bigger than war bikes, but war bikes have a really shit stat line that probably fits better with how many shots one of these things would actually survive. But the thing is, I've only got one of them, and the only one of those three things that you can only have one of is is a war buggy, so that's what I'm going to run them as for now. And as such, I've put a little magnet underneath it, so I can. So basically, I made a weapon mount for it, so that I could put on different weapons. Because the original vehicle didn't have any, so I've got like an a thing I made from an assault cannon and a rocket launcher, so it can kind of fill in for the various different weapons that those different units have. So it's a thing. But it means I get to run a grot cutter on tabletop in fucking 2020, which is just cool to me.
Yeah, that's very good.
You know what I've just realised?
What?
So, with all, like, quarantine and all the world's madness and horror going on right now, we've forgotten that this year, April in its entirety is 420.
Yeah, that is a thing. And we're all too stressed to make the weed jokes about it.
Some of that good marijuana's...
You're having real trouble, aren't you?
I'm having trouble.
Oh,
I'm
darling.
sorry.
Darling.
I'm sorry, everybody.
It's okay.
A hug might help.
That's the sound of a hug.
You go.
That's the sound of a hug. Thank you for the hug. That
It's
did
okay. But anyway, so yeah, grots. Been doing loads more of them. I've cannibalised more grots from my old orc army, so now I have...
You know, if you stop eating them, you might have more models to paint.
Maybe. But I've got 40 grots now. I've got about... it's like 730...
That's like, what, 2 points?
They're 3 points apiece, so yeah. I've got like... my army's currently at like 730 points, I think.
Okay.
So if I
Not
take
bad.
out my gene stealers, I could fight you with my Tyranids.
Yeah. We could...
I honestly don't have like 3 days spare to just spend rolling dice, but
You think you've got it bad? I'm the one who has to roll for that many grot shots.
oh, when will they build your statue?
No, the next time I make an order from anywhere, I am going to be getting... I think I'm just going to get the movement trays for Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Just to move these fuckers around. But apart from doing that, which I've spent a shitload of time painting, not actually finished painting much, because I've also been painting a Dakajet, so it's, you know, a lot of time's been put into things and haven't got much finished yet, but that's just...
Everything's looking
40K.
amazing though.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
I also watched the end of Steven Universe because the second half of Steven Universe Future came out.
Oh, I've heard good things, but I've heard it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster.
Very much so.
So you need the spoons for it.
So I know that I'm the only one here that has got substantially far through Steven Universe. And by that I mean I've watched all of it, and it's perhaps my favourite cartoon of all time, if I'm honest.
No.
I fucking love it.
I do need to watch it, but like, I don't know. I've spoken about that before, where like you want to watch something and you're very invested in watching it, but you can't for some reason. It's like a weird like mental health thing. I don't know.
I'd say Steven Universe is a really good show to get past that, because the episodes are 10 minutes long. So
that honestly, I don't think that helps.
it makes them very bite-sized. It does take a little bit to get going. So I know you had problems with that, Max. You watched like a handful of it and just didn't really get into it.
Yeah.
But it's I will say, like, you know, just as a general thing, it is absolutely worth, because it's like it takes probably about like 10 or so episodes.
100 minutes in this economy.
And it's not like those first 10 episodes are bad, but it takes them before the show starts to show the signs of what it will become.
Well, I mean, like, I tend to, when I view a new piece of media, I tend to not just... I tend to watch the pilot, but I don't really take it. I take it with a pinch of salt, because the pilot is usually the thing that they'll go, okay, what's popular right now? Okay, like Friends is popular. You should tell how fucking old I am. So, like, you know, we'll like make it look like a slice of life thing, but it's actually like a sci-fi like thing. You know, that, or like with Orange is the New Black.
Yeah, the whole first season was basically just them...
we need to get a second season so then we can start doing the storyline we actually want to do. And then Piper became like a fucking tertiary character. And I'm like, good, because she was fucking shit.
She's so much better in the subsequent series.
She's literally an MLM Karen. She's so I mean, she's garbage, and I don't like her because
They make her the butt of the joke.
yeah, because let's be honest, she's fucking hysterical.
Yeah.
She's some fucking out of her depth, like.
But that was straight up,
But yeah.
like, they had to do that because that was how they got the show commissioned, was because they were able to more easily sell it from the perspective of having her as the main character. And then once
And then they started phasing her out.
And then they were like, oh yeah, no, we don't need it. But anyway, so yeah, Steven Universe, really, really good. Would entirely recommend anyone sticking with it. Like, I still really enjoyed those early episodes, but they pale in comparison to how good the show gets. Now, obviously, the show ran for a billion seasons. I don't actually remember how many seasons it had.
That's a lot of fucking seasons.
But then it kind of culminates in a nice ending, and it's a good, satisfying ending to the show. And then there was a movie which deals with some extra little bits, and it's kind of
Or isn't it
interesting.
kind of like a few years on, so like Steven's like.
He's older. He's got a neck.
He hasn't. That's how you know someone's like an adult. Their eyes get smaller and their neck gets longer.
And
That's what happened to me.
when apparently, because I read an interview with Rebecca Sugar, who's the main kind of creator behind Steven Universe. In fact, Steven's broadly based on her brother, who is called Steven, not Universe though. Sugar.
Steven Universal.
Steven
Sugar.
Universe Sugar.
Yeah.
And when they made the movie, they also was told, basically, do you want to have, a handful of more episodes while we're doing this? Like, do you want that? And they went, yeah. And so what Steven Universe Future is and was, I guess,
It's like Batman of the future.
is
Steven Universe.
it's sort of an epilogue to the whole thing and delves into a lot of stuff that they weren't really able to in the main series. And without spoiling anything, because it's really worth watching, the general theme of it is the nonsense that the characters, and especially Steven, has gone throughout the entire run of the show, that all catching up and it being treated really realistically. So it's basically a character dealing with their own failing mental health when on paper they don't feel like they have anything to feel sad about or feel bad about.
Oh, you mean mental health problems?
Yes. And it's basically them dealing with that, with going through the framework of the gems and all this and all this, and and it's really good. And originally, because I didn't know they were going to do this second half, the original first half has a real downer ending to it. And I was kind of okay with it if that was where it was going to end. It was a downer ending, but I was like, okay, fine. It kind of earned that, given the rest of the concept of the show. But it has a much more upbeat ending with these other episodes, and so it's nice, cool. Had me a few parts where I was, I was sitting there and getting quite emotional about it, and other parts where I was very, just grinning ear to ear, because. I like the show. I like the characters. It's really good. I 100% recommend watching it. Similarly, I also watched through the entirety of something that I mentioned last time. So you know how I've said for a while, I should really go back and watch Venture Brothers again.
So you went and watched Star Trek from TOS too?
Yeah. No, I watched the entirety of Venture Brothers, all 7 seasons.
Okay.
And I have some observations about that fucking show.
Okay.
So...
I mean, does Brock get any hotter? Is it even possible?
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
I guess.
I like it how he can't say spaghetti. Oh, I love that in a man.
That is a reveal in the final season that he says spaghetti.
Oof. I have to sit on my hands.
So if people aren't familiar, because I think we mentioned it last time, it's sort of a parody of shows like Johnny Quest, of the boy adventurers, and
Super Sleuth,
and super science, and outrageous supervillains, and it's a sort of parody of that. And speaking of pilots, the pilot of Venture Brothers is super fucking rough because it's not even animated the same. Mm-hmm. Now, I was a bit I wondered how well the show would age because, not to put too fine a point on it, but I think the first season went out in like 2003 or something like that.
Yikes.
And boy howdy,
I was still at school.
boy howdy does some of the fucking humour of
Ooh, yeah,
of
I
it
bet.
not age well. Like,
They still use like the R slur.
yeah, all the time. Actually, that's it gets lesser and lesser over time, but it's really fucking common in those early couple of seasons. And there's using gay as a pejorative is really common in those early seasons.
Well, I
as
mean,
well.
like, Dr. Girlfriend was like, it was like, haha, woman with deep voice. And
Oh,
speaking
yeah.
as a woman with a deep voice, it's like, okay.
Shitloads of stuff that is basically just really being shitty about trans people in that with that character. And
I mean, I love Dr. Girlfriend. I think she's a fantastic character and I really like her. And I love the fact that she has a deep voice. Not because, haha, funny, just because it's really interesting and I really like it.
you know what's really cool is that so as part of the wider thing is that all of this stuff you have to take in mind if you want to go back and watch
Yeah.
this show, and you do kind of need to watch the show kind of from one thing from one end to the other, because as it goes on, the story becomes more important, and the emotional weight of things kind of becomes more. You get it from seeing the path that these characters travel, but they get so much better about that. Basically, the last 2 seasons of it, all of that stuff is just gone.
Awesome.
All the stuff that those kind of jokes, character, basically Dr. Girlfriend, although she has various different names throughout the show.
Dr. Mrs.
The Monarch.
The Monarch.
The Monarch.
The mighty Monarch. And I'm just like, I love it.
But as time goes on, they stop doing that, and she's just treated as she's just a character that people just don't mention the fact that she has it. There's the occasional joke of the fact that she does have an outrageously deep voice, for anyone.
Oh no! The thing is, Doc Hammer's voice, because he's the guy who voices her, is he has a deep voice, and then he makes it super deep for her, and I love it. Again, this isn't something haha, no, it's just, I love to see it.
The jokes about her voice, any jokes about her voice at that point are only jokes that would be made about anyone with a voice that deep. So it's not really a thing. As the show gets on, you start noticing how much characters change and grow, and by the end of it, the last 2 seasons especially, boy howdy does the story start taking a real kind of front seat to things. And where the last season that's been made, which I think was made in 2018.
Yikes. I forgot it's traditionally animated, so it took 2-3 years in between seasons.
It takes a while. Yeah. It ends in a place where I would not have seen, watching the early episodes where it's this just goofy nonsense
with a bunch of slows thrown in because it's edgy.
Everything's a punchline. Yeah, lots of language that's a bit iffy in the earlier ones. And by a bit iffy, I mean yikes.
Literally a bag of dice. It's so dicey.
But by the end, it has
I'm proud of that.
there's characters with so much heart, and characters that make mistakes but do so in such a earnest way.
How has it seems like it's turned out to be really wholesome and quite emotionally what's the word, resonating?
Yeah, it does. It gets
Resonant.
Really good, really good. There are a couple of things I'd like to mention about it though, which is that I saw a lot of them uncensored.
Oh yeah, with the dicks. Because they just draw the dicks.
Yeah, so it turns out whenever they censored the genitals, boy howdy, they drew them.
Yeah.
But it leads to a really interesting point. So normally when you hear episodes of the show and people swear, it gets bleeped out. And I personally think that generally speaking, I know we swear all the fucking time in the podcast.
Do we?
And when we stream and things. But in Codex Compliant, we don't.
And if we do, we censor it.
We did in the earlier episodes, but it just didn't really fit the tone. And over time, I've sort of kind of just got used to doing that. And I think
in a scripted setting, I think bleeped swears is just way funnier.
It's usually funnier to bleep them out.
Yeah.
And I think in a lot of cases in comedy, usually the bleep can be funnier than if you just say the swear. Everyone knows what you're saying,
Sometimes
but the bleep's funnier.
that's the joke.
The absolute... Venture Brothers has the best example of that in practice, which is there is, in the end episode of season 4, there is a joke about... So one of the main characters of it is Dr. Venture, who's called... His name's Thaddeus Venture, but he's referred to as Rusty Venture. This is his nickname.
Because he was like a child star in like his own like Johnny Quest kind of show.
Yeah, but also those adventures were real, and he is ludicrously traumatized, and you find out over the course of the show how he is a terrible human being, but also he was given such a shit lot in life.
He's Rusty Venture. Yeah, basically,
he's Rusty Venture, and it turns out that a Rusty Venture is a euphemism for a sexual act in the universe of the show.
Yeah.
And if you see the censored version of it, it's like a thing where someone will say like, "Oh yeah, a Rusty Venture is," and then they'll reel off this repeatedly beeped thing
with like loads of weird hand gestures.
So it would be like, "Oh yeah, a Rusty Venture is when you beep, and then you take your hand, and then you grab the middle of it, and then you beep until you're beeping in your beep whilst you're beeping." You know it.
And then the cow can go home.
Yeah, and that's funny.
And I meant cow as an animal. I wasn't being derogative.
Okay, I assumed you meant natural.
But just wanted to.
Whereas if you see the uncensored version, then they do just reel off these like intentionally gross sex acts.
What was it you said? It's basically just the Aristocrats.
Yeah, basically.
And if you don't know what the Aristocrats is, don't Google it. It's disgusting. It's an old comedian joke where it's like, oh, family goes in, does a bunch of disgusting shit. And the talent agent is like, "Oh, that was really something. What do you call it?" The Aristocrats.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's an old joke.
It was a joke. Like every comedian had their own version.
Yeah. But when you hear the actual versions of them all, they're just really... It becomes really boring and mundane. Whereas when you heard the beeps, there was mystery. You didn't know what they said, so it was funnier because you were filling in the gaps of what they actually said.
I mean, I really like... What was it? I'm sure it was like, oh yeah, Rusty Venture when you like beep, 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 like weird hand gestures. And someone's like, no, that's the reverse Frogman. The Rusty Venture is when you beep.
Yeah.
And it's like... And it just kept going like that. It's like, that's fucking hilarious. But if it's just like, oh, Rusty Venture is when you shove a trombone up your butt, and then like it's like, okay, that's not funny. I mean, it's silly and outrageous and a little bit gross, but it's still like the bleep is just superior comedy.
Yeah, it's a really interesting like if you want to see the best example of how censorship can be funny. Like, can be funnier than the thing. That's like a really good example of it. So. Yeah, especially seeing how characters start off, because there's Gary, who
I love Gary.
He starts off as just a henchman. He's literally like a one-off henchman, because all of the main antagonist, the Monarch, but all of his henchmen, like to begin with, they all just have silly voices.
Yeah, there's one that's kind of like a weird Ray Romano.
Yeah, and there's 21 and 24 who kind of stuck around, and one of them sounds like Ray Romano, and one of them.
But you don't want to punch him in the face.
Yeah, one of them's got like a stereotypical nerd voice, and that's Gary. And he eventually just becomes like this really central character who grows, and he's such a. They do so much with him. It's really genuinely interesting.
I mean, even the seasons I've seen, like the amount of growth in that character is outrageous.
Yeah.
And also the Holst scene where like he rolls up in his car and like waiting for Gary to get out, and it's just that's the funniest fucking thing.
Yeah,
that is so fucking funny.
You might have seen it on social media because the two henchmen doing Mars from the Planet Suite.
Oh, okay, right.
It's so fucking...
It's the best.
It's the funniest shit I've ever seen. Not like Pickle Rick, no. But
I actually
no.
realised it's an interesting thing because as a counterpoint to something like Rick and Morty, Dr. Venture is a bastard and is never presented as being anything other than a bastard, nor is he ever shown to be right.
Yeah, he's just a douche.
He is a bad person and the show never sides with him. So
Even
it does
when he's all out for condom.
it does a much better job at bad people as main characters. So yeah, Venture Brothers really good, but boy howdy, I keep saying boy howdy. I don't know where I've picked that up
What?
from.
Yeah.
You probably picked it up
I
from
don't know
me.
why I'm doing that now.
You picked it up from my brother.
Well, since I've not spoken to him in months, I doubt it.
I mean, I don't know. He's pretty catchy.
He is everywhere.
Yeah,
He is omnipotent.
Omnipresent.
Yeah. All seeing.
with the massive caveats that if you do watch it, you have to sit through a lot of early 2000s edgy humor where they just think slurs are a punchline. It does get really good, but yeah, big content warning on
Heavy
that.
caveats there.
And there's a lot of subjects in it that, they come.
Boy howdy. Boy howdy.
I'm just gonna, you know what, fuck it, I'm just saying
No,
it now.
lean into it.
That's my thing now.
Yeah.
I say boy howdy, that's my thing.
Yeah. It's like how I say pilgrim, which I don't know where I got that from.
No, I don't know, and you don't do it very often.
Not anymore. No.
Yeah, some of the stuff is very, very dicey. So yeah. There is one thing that I would like to bring up. One other thing that it did that I think we'll all have a little something to say about.
Okay.
Which is the finale of Star Trek Picard.
Yeah, he's.
I liked it.
I also liked it a lot.
I appreciate that some people don't like it, and they have valid. I mean, if you don't like something, that's fine. But like I remember ADB was saying it's just a bit grimdark.
Yeah,
And you know what? That's a completely valid criticism.
yeah. It's got a very different tone to like the old things. I think part of it comes from the fact that rather than being little self-contained episodes, it's one narrative strung out over 10 episodes, and so the bad times that come at the start of that kind of narrative take up a huge chunk of the front load of it. But I will say that towards the end of it, because the show's kind of fundamentally about Picard getting his groove back, the hopefulness starts to come into the show more as it goes on. And I think that's, if you were turned off by the kind of more grim tone, it might be worth watching to the end. I'm not saying that if you disliked it, you'll like it if you watch the rest of it, but
It does get cheerier.
yeah, you might get some out of the rest of it.
And also, if that doesn't sell you, then Rios is a real babe. So, so there's that might get you through.
But yeah, I thought it did some interesting things. Got very Mass Effect at times, didn't it?
Very much so. And you know what? I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I'm trying to think of like what to say without like bringing any spoilers.
I thought, I have a pretty simple gauge when it comes to grimdark kind of stuff. So, is it grim? Is it dark? Okay. If I give a shit about it, it's usually where it still has funny moments.
Yeah,
It's like The Matrix. Everything is miserable 99.9% of the time, and it's just a bit much. Everything's serious and miserable, and ooh, I'm wearing peel leather, blah. But like, then there's like Picard, where it's like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that is shit, but it still has some really funny moments or really heartwarming moments, and it's like, I think that's a good balance.
yeah. I think it managed it pretty well.
Yeah.
And I'm personally really looking forward to the second season, which we know is happening.
Yeah, and hopefully like Guinan pops in,
Well,
because like
she should be, yeah.
that would be so lovely.
Because yeah, there was a handful of cameos, less than I was expecting, honestly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I don't think that's a bad thing, because ultimately, like, you don't. The show relies a lot on nostalgia at the end of the day.
It absolutely does, yes.
But I think it lent on it about the right amount, because I think they could have like just had the whole crew of the Enterprise just show up like one per
that would
episode.
have been pretty blatant, and it probably would have turned me off.
Yeah.
But like the cameos scattered throughout, I was just like, That's really cool. It made me happy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I personally, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I'm looking forward to season 2.
Yes.
That's my summation.
Yeah,
my spoiler-free summary.
Yeah. What did you think, Matt?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. We watched it with Ruth, and it was interesting watching because I've seen quite a fair few of previous episodes and Next Gen and things, but not all of it, but enough to like know what a Borg cube is and stuff. Whereas Ruth watched it with basically no prior knowledge, so it was a little bit interesting watching her reactions because a lot of it does rely on you having to know at least a bit about the universe and what's happened previously.
Because knowing, it's not spoilers because it's the first fucking episode, but the whole thing of the anti-synth stuff, like the whole Federation putting bans on artificial life, it's like that's completely different to what was previously seen. It's like that's something which it shows how the Federation has changed, and that's like a big shock to you coming into this later on in the world you're familiar with. Whereas if you've not got
Patrick Stewart's in a lot of those.
You mean like Logan?
Logan.
Yeah.
Also, I heard Patrick Stewart say the F word, and I have not been the same since. That was in Logan. Yeah. He just turns around and goes, "Fuck off, Logan," and I'm like, where did you learn such naughty language? It shocked me because I was like, I grew up with the X-Men movies. I grew up with the X-Men comics and cartoons, and I'm such a huge X-Men fan. And I was just like, Chuck, you can't say that shit. What are you doing? That's very naughty. But yeah, it was also weird because like Discovery had the first like Star Trek F-bomb.
Yes, it did, and there's a few in Picard as well. Yeah,
there was a few. I don't think they were kind of overused.
No,
I do think they did add punch to the sentence they were being used in. Spoiler alert: Picard does not say an F word.
Yeah, I don't think he does. No,
he does not, because I really want to fuck off, Wesley. I really want that.
Here's to season 2.
Come on, season 2. I need to fuck off, Wesley.
Wesley Starchild's his way back into the fucking show.
Just to be told to fuck off.
He appears on the bridge of this Serena? Yeah?
Is that Hot Rios' ship, yeah.
I'm really bad with names.
I assume it's named after a cliche.
He appears, Wesley appears on the bridge. He's like, "Hey, I've been a Star Child for the last 20 fucking years. What's been going down?" And Picard's just like, "Fuck off, Wesley." And then he's like, "Oh, then he just turns back into a ball of light and floats off.
I thought you said he turns back into a Christmas jumper and evaporates.
Maybe.
I really hope he if we do see him again, I do hope he's wearing a fuck ugly jumper.
Yeah, in the future, I hope that ugly jumper technology has only got worse.
Yeah, I mean that's like one of the few things Matt lives for. Is the idea that he could have a holographic like garbage. Like
a jumper that
space jumper,
like a non-Euclidean jumper. Like you look at it and it hurts your eyes.
Yeah, it's like broken gifs.
Yeah, it's blasphemy.
It's a broken
That's the dream.
blasphemy. That's the dream. To be fair, dude, have you got yourself a pair of shite shorts yet?
No, I asked them if they could send me some, and they didn't. So.
Oh, absolute twats!
Yeah.
They didn't give you a free thing. Fuck them.
How dare they?
But yeah, so anyone got any other thoughts about Picard?
No, I liked it. I thought it was good. Also, yeah, like I do joke about Daddy Rios, but like, so it's not really a spoiler. He has just like multiple, he's just modeled the multiple holograms after his own likeness. Not deliberately. He like it is kind of like mentioned that there's either you can have it all modeled after like the captain, or you can just have a random like appearance. And he was like, "Oh yeah, no, I'll have that," and he just hasn't changed it. So like, you've got Rios, who's like got a bit of a Spanish twang because obviously he's super Spanish. Then you've got like the psychiatrist who's like English. You've got a bunch of others with different accents and different kind of personalities, and it's like, damn, dude. It's the range.
Well, he's not particularly good at any of the accents.
I mean, no.
No.
But it's still he's consistent, which is more
Yeah,
than a
yeah,
lot of people
yeah.
are.
It's an interesting thing. I can imagine for an actor it'd be very interesting because he's effectively playing like 6 different characters in the show.
Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was really interesting, and it was very entertaining to watch him, especially the Irish one who's just so lovely.
Yeah,
what a
yeah,
sweet little car. He's wearing like a cardigan, and he's just so lovely. Oh, he's such a darling. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
Looking forward to more.
Yes, it will be interesting to see.
Yes.
But yeah, that's actually me done. I the only video games I played are the ones that I've just been playing in the background for a while, like 2 Point Hospital.
De-stressifying
Yeah.
games, yeah.
Turns out doing Codex compliant takes time, and when you're also painting a lot, video games just don't happen to you.
Yep.
So, Matthew,
Yes.
the drummered Matthew,
Yes.
what indeed have you been doing?
I have been making holes. And then putting things in the holes and then making the holes bigger.
Yeah.
I've been playing Donut County.
Good.
Oh,
Good.
good. I love
it-
the dialogue in that game.
It is the best game.
It's
Great,
like,
isn't it?
It's like, oh yeah, I got a donut hole, 420 lol, and then another character will just turn around and go lol. It is text. It's not like spoken, so it's actually very funny.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love it.
it took me a little while to get into it. I was like, "What is happening? Why is what?"
That's kind of what my brain looks like.
And then, yeah, I think you guys have spoken about this already on the podcast, so I don't
I
have
believe
much more
so,
to add.
yeah.
But yeah, it is just a good game. I finished it in a couple of hours, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's pretty short,
it's
but it's
pretty
short and
but
sweet.
it doesn't need to be any longer. But it is great. I got it for like next to nothing, basically.
I think it would definitely, if it was any longer, I think it would start to overstay its welcome.
Yeah, yeah, because like the levels, they're not exactly complicated puzzles. It's put small thing in the hole, hole gets bigger. Put medium thing in hole, hole gets bigger. Put big thing in hole.
And
Yeah.
before anyone makes a joke, that is just piss poor anatomy, and that's not how it works. Thanks for playing. It is a real fun game.
It's
And you're like, how
engaging,
do I-
but yeah, I'm really glad it is what it is, and it is that long, and it's
Yeah.
just they did it well, and then it was the end.
Yeah, and I do like it's kind of like how do I get big enough to give the hoodoo that suck?
Yeah, if you're not familiar with the thing at all,
You got to give hoodoos the suck.
It's kind of like a reverse Katamari, I guess.
Yeah, I've seen it described as that.
Where instead of trying to get more things into your giant like ball and like assemble a huge thing, you instead just make a hole, and when it swallows things, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then you can swallow bigger and bigger things. And occasionally there's puzzles based around that as well. Like really basic ones, but yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there is a story somehow.
Yeah, I know, and the story is like alarmingly sweet and interesting.
It
It's like,
is,
how
it's
have they
good.
managed to make a nice story around this?
I remember because I played through it and really liked it, and then I said to Snipe, I was like, okay, we're doing a video or a stream or something with
We
this.
streamed it, didn't we?
Yeah, and eventually we just streamed the whole game in like one
Yeah.
thing with you, you playing it. Because yeah, it's just a cool little game.
It's a fun little game, yeah.
Yeah, it's really pretty as well. I really like
Yeah,
how it looks.
It is. It ticks a lot of boxes. It's very cute.
The other thing I've started playing, I downloaded Final Fantasy VIII because I've never played it, and I thought I'd give it a go.
Have fun getting stuck in like triple triad for
Like-
40 hours.
I've played it for about half an hour, and I have no clue what's happening in any possible sense.
Dude, that's just Final Fantasy. Don't worry about
No,
it.
but Final Fantasy VII makes sense.
Is that... I mean, I guess. I haven't really actually played Final Fantasy VIII, but all I know is it's a love story with a guy who's even more insufferable than Cloud.
I mean, I've played like most of the game, so
No,
Yeah,
we're
didn't
not
you-
talking... Yeah,
Didn't you
we're not
like
talking.
8? I'm sure you said at the past at some point you said you liked it.
I have a thing with 8 of that I do kind of like a lot of the systems in it, and I don't think that the story is completely terrible, but it does have a problem, and that is that every time that I try and play it again, because I got to like the 3rd disc of it back in the day, and then just stopped playing it.
Did you not complete it?
No, I never got around to
wow,
completing
okay.
it. And every now and again I go, I'm gonna beat Final Fantasy VIII finally. and then I'll play it for like half an hour, and then go, I'd just rather play Final Fantasy VII again, and then I just do that. And so yeah, I feel like I've never really given it a fair shot, but it's got a lot of problems, I will say.
I just think like Squall is such a fucking drongo.
He is. He's.
Oh, what a dingus that boy is.
He does make Cloud look like he is overburdened with personality.
Mm-hmm. And Cloud does not have much to begin with, apart from generic dickhead anime protag. And then there's Squall, who's somehow worse.
How do you find the whole drawing magic system?
Well, I don't. That's the thing. I've only played it. I've only had like one fight. I was trying to read up some like tips for how to play. This is why I brought it up, because I was hoping you could explain very quickly what. Like,
okay.
The tip that I managed to find was that you're meant to spend most of the fight drawing magic off them and not fighting them or something, and then it just means that every fight takes bloody ages or something. That was seemingly the only tip I could read.
I mean, fundamentally, yeah.
And I was like, well, that doesn't sound fun. There must be another way of doing it. But...
Okay, so basically the core conceit of the way the combat in the game works is that you don't just have spells, you don't have like materia or what have you that you can just then do the spell and it just costs MP. Spells are effectively like an item that you have a finite amount of and you use. When you draw magic, you take it out of enemies, and so you can draw whatever magic they have, so you can make stocks of certain things. Now, that wouldn't be so bad because it would just mean, when you want like a certain kind of magic, you can just draw it from the ones you want, and you'll always get like a bunch of them. So it's not like a huge deal. But later on in the game, you gain the ability to basically conjoin spells with your stats. So it leads to this awkward situation where you're like, okay, I've got spells like Ultima that are fucking powerful, but that's linked to my strength. So if I use it, then my character gets worse. So you end up with spending all your time drawing magic and then never using it.
Wow. Just fucking stick with materia. That shit is awesome.
I mean, the Final Fantasy games
it also made me super hungry because it reminded me of like hard candy.
Yeah,
And I was like,
I mean, the games have had lots of different ways of managing how you get spells. Not, the materia thing is just 7's way of doing it. And it's a pretty good way, I find, although it does lead...
I like 7. I also thought the sphere grid from 10 had like some bonuses.
I really like the sphere grid,
I
honestly.
like the sphere grid, because then you could just have everything unlocked because fuck it, why not?
I mean, the downside to the materia system is that it did lead to all of your characters kind of being hybrid spellcasters and melee fighters. There was no real benefit to like having a healer, whereas I remember like playing through Final Fantasy like 3 and 4 and like you absolutely needed like dedicated healer characters.
Yeah.
Like that was just a thing you had to have.
But yeah, no, it's interesting. I don't like it. I've never played it, but I don't like the idea of it.
It's got a lot of structural problems, but you do have the whole interesting thing. Have you got any Guardian Forces yet?
Girlfriends!
Yeah, your
That's
GFs.
what GF for. They've started trying to explain what GFs are, but then they sort of explain it, but they've never actually said what GF stood for. I was like, what is a GF? What am I doing here?
It's Guardian Force.
Okay.
I mean, you don't have a GF, you have a wife.
They just started showing some like tutorials about how you have to like assimilate with a GF or I don't know, something. I'm very confused right now. Basically, is where
What all GFs are the equivalent of summons in the game. They just wanted to make summons be something rather than just be spells that you just fire off. You actually like have to like gain kind of attunement with them, and they give you specific abilities. And when you cast a summon, rather than you just throw it as a spell, you basically get a new health bar that is the GF's health bar. And that then it has a little countdown until it procs, basically. And it's an interesting system. I would be interested to see them have another stab at it and make it not bad. Because it's a flawed system, but it is an interesting one, and it has some interest because of it. It has some quirks that, it's interesting. Are you playing it on the Steam release, I'm assuming?
No, the Switch. It's the remastered version on the Switch I've got.
How is it as a remastered version?
Yeah, I mean, I've never played the original, so it's hard. I can't I can't compare.
Fair.
But
Because it's got an interesting thing where because it went for a more realistic aesthetic, it kind of aged worse than 7 because 7 looked like goofy cartoon bullshit.
yeah.
Like,
well,
even
the
when it was
character
new.
models are updated, so the character models look like fine.
Oh, I didn't actually know that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
on
so
the-
now
on-
the
on
"you're
the-
the most handsome guy here" thing is nowhere near as funny. Because his face isn't all jank like it was.
Yeah. I mean, I want to tell you some dumb bullshit from it, but, like, it would spoil huge things.
Okay. My last question, just quickly, is that there's a card game in it or something, and it seems to be like that's the main point of the game, but I haven't quite worked out if that's an optional fun thing or if you have to do it.
Oh, do you want to know the bullshit about Triple Triad?
Yeah.
So...
Is that the name of the card game?
Yeah,
It
it's
just
the
says
name of the card
It just says cards everywhere. It doesn't say... I haven't worked out what it's called yet.
Yeah, basically, the game is like a thing in and of itself, and it has some, again, like the rest of the game, it has some bullshit in it, like, as you go around the world, you will pick up variant rules, and you are basically patient zero of a card game virus. So,
Okay.
you know how everyone plays Monopoly wrong?
How so?
Free parking is not a thing where you get anything.
You are allowed to
yeah.
buy things on the first go round.
Yeah, little things like that everyone, people have basically house ruled, and and it's actually quite funny. Next time you play Monopoly with your family, point out that they all play it wrong. They don't like it. It's quite funny.
Yeah, you'll ruin Christmas dinner.
It's like, oh, but that ruins the game. It's like, no, it doesn't. It makes the game faster by removing those bad rules there. But
Basically, the house rules in this are like, bailouts for big business.
thematically,
all it does is waste time, resources, and money, and
yeah,
capitalism bad.
yes.
Nah.
The additional rules to Triple Triad are kind of like you're the person that gains these extra rules, and you have to manage them. You have to stop yourself being patient zero of this fucking virus.
So that's like me rocking up to a fucking 40k tournament with literally just 47 murder fangs. And then I'm fighting I don't know, Dark Angels, and them going, wait a minute, you can't do that. And I'm like, oh, you haven't heard? I fucking can.
Because you've brought
Because
rules
I've
in.
decided, and they're like, well, shit, she's decided.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I'm gonna lose.
It's an interesting idea, but it's deeply flawed, and you end up spending far too much time getting really annoyed because, oh, I need to go and play this person to get this card, but if I do so, that means I'll start spreading the random rule, which means that you don't get to pick what cards you use, you just get them randomly selected from your deck, which all that means is that you then just scrap every card you have except for the ones you want to actually use. Because the other...
You have some serious unresolved issues with Triple Triad.
I played a lot of Triple Triad.
Yeah.
And at various points you can basically play it with every main character and get cards of them. And the reason to do that is that once you get these hyper rare cards that require so much bullshit to get, they break down into some of the rarest items in the game and allow you to functionally be immortal.
Oh, what? From a cut? What?
Yeah, just like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
Not Magic the Gathering.
Some of
no.
the things work like auto life, so you can effectively cast it on yourself to basically get do-overs, like a Final Attack Revive thing from Final Fantasy VII. It allows you to do bullshit like that, which you pretty much can't really do unless you get some of these rarest cards. And to get the rarest cards, you have to play some of these characters, which means you'll spread these bullshit rules, and so the game gets harder and more annoying to play.
Oh, good.
I don't know if I'm selling Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah.
At all now.
But
Yeah, give it a go. I have always meant to try and really stick it out because I don't think it's a terrible game. It's just a flawed game.
And I think its flaws are magnified tenfold purely because Final Fantasy VII was its predecessor.
Yeah.
Which is
I mean,
not good.
Imagine trying to follow that up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And 9 is also apparently a lot better. I never played it at the time. I've played the first couple of hours of it, and I really liked the first couple of hours of it. I was just really petty when I was a kid, and I was like, "Oh, the graphics look really kiddie and silly compared to the one that I liked," and I was just being a shit kid.
We're all guilty of it.
But it's
Yeah,
what I've played of it is really good, and a lot of people think 9 is the best Final Fantasy, and I from what I've played of it, I can understand why. It's a bit more light-hearted. Zidane is the main character.
David Bowie with a tail.
He's got a lot more character than, well, both Cloud and Squall, in fairness.
Final Fantasy VII will always be my favourite game because it has Sid Highwind in it. I know every game has Sid in it.
Yeah, I'm glad
but,
you clarified Sid Highwind
but it has
there.
that Sid Highwind in it.
Do you want to know what the Sid from Final Fantasy VIII is?
A lady.
No,
that's 15.
It's Robin Williams.
What?
It's the headmaster of the school you go to. His name's Sid.
Well, yeah, I gathered that. But why is he Robin Williams?
He just looks like Robin Williams. He just looks like old Robin Williams.
Oh wow. Okay, that's actually quite nice. I hope he's a jovial fellow.
He's just an old like slightly portly guy.
Oh, that's really nice. Also,
I seem to remember him being a nice chap. So, do you have any thoughts on 8 from what you've played so far?
No, honestly, I played it half an hour. I've done one battle and one card thing, and didn't know what I was doing in either. And then I thought, okay, I'll ask you if you've got any tips, because I tried to look up a beginner's guide to explain anything, and that all of them assume at least a basic level of knowledge about it somehow, and I just don't have that, so I have no idea what I'm doing. But I'll stick at it and see if I can plough through and get into it.
Yeah, the basic gist is just with spells, you treat spells like items, and you have to, and the only way to get them is to steal them.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the sort of general gist of it.
All right. I'll report back next time.
There's also a weird mechanic that I always forgot happened, which is where when Squall hits with his gun blade, which I can't believe we've gone through a conversation about Final Fantasy VIII and not talked about how stupid the gun blade was.
Those were actual things, though. They were not at that scale.
Not the way they work in the game.
No. But I'm just saying that it's not a particularly new concept.
Yeah,
but it's still really silly in game.
But the thing is, when you attack with it, I think you pull one of the triggers.
Yeah, you have to time it or something.
And if you time it, it does more damage because you fire it. But it at no point says what's actually mechanically happening there, because there's no actual place for a bullet to come out of. It's like you put ammo in it. It's like a cap gun, I guess.
Yeah, but with live rounds, so your gun just the cylinders are just getting exploded.
Yeah, I don't know.
And jammed horribly.
I don't know.
So you have to replace, because it's like a revolver set of chambers, isn't it?
Well, Squall's is.
Oh god.
Cypher's one is different and is much more likely to break your wrist.
Has it got a fucking magazine in it?
I don't think so.
It's a bullpup sword.
It's a much more conventional pistol shape.
Okay, I'll have a look at it after and see.
I'm trying to think of a bullpup. Would that mean the handle of the sword is
he's
3/4 of the way down the blade?
Way down the blade, yeah, exactly. I love the idea of a bullpup sword because the action's behind it. So you stab, and then all the force of what? To be fair, I'm shocked that's not in a Final Fantasy already.
Oh yeah,
because they go ham.
But yes, what else have you been up to?
The last thing I've done, we've been watching a new TV series, Sex Education on Netflix.
Oh, I've heard really, really good things.
Yeah,
I really want to see it.
It was forcing us to watch it for a while and doing the Netflix thing, and we watched the trailer, and I just looked so rubbish, and we were like, well, that looks crap. I didn't think about it again. And then I was out or something, and I got back, and I was like, oh, what are you watching, Ruth? And she's like, oh, it's Sex Education. I was like, oh, well, how far through are you? I was like, well, this is halfway through the second series. And I was like, oh, okay. So I've had a weird experience of watching it, because then I started watching it. I was like, well, this is actually quite good. And then by the end of that episode, I was like, okay, I'm into this. And then I watched the rest of it with her, and now I'm going back and watching through from the start.
Oh my goodness, okay.
So it's a bit of a weird way of doing it, but it is fantastic. It might not be for everyone in that it's lots of teenagers talking about sex. So if you're uncomfortable having frank conversations about the awkwardness of sex, it might not be for you. But it is an excellent show. I highly, highly recommend it. It's very funny and sweet, and
there was a GIF set I saw which was Gillian Anderson talking to a lady who's she's talking about how she feels she has to have sex but also never ever wants to have sex, And it's basically talking about being asexual, which is like some asexuals are repulsed by sex, and this particular lady seems to be like an asexual who is and just doesn't want anything to do with it and just thinks it's gross. And like Gillian Anderson is like, yeah, that's that you're not broken, that's fine. You don't have to have sex.
So is
if
it
you don't want to.
American?
I think so.
No, that's the weird thing. It's I don't know where it was, whether who the producers of it or whatever, but it's filmed in like the Wye Valley, so like Welsh border. I don't know if it's slightly in Wales but it's set in America. In that it's not at all, but they're at a high school, which is like they wear the like varsity jackets and they've got all the like Go Cougars or whatever it is thing. And it's basically, and they go to house parties where they have the red cups. And I was like, so it's filmed in like Wales or like the Welsh border, but it's weirdly set in an American high school, but in the UK, it's very weird.
That reminds me of like End of the Fucking World.
Yeah, and it's sort of like, I was going to say it's End of the Fucking World because like all the cars are from the 70s, but it's set now. So it's very, the setting is almost quite similar to End of the Fucking World, but more American. And I don't know if they do that to like try and, I'm trying to dance around the issue here. Quite often, and I'm very generalising and it isn't go for everyone, but American audiences don't like watching things that aren't set in the United States. Yeah. Sometimes. I'd say, hence why, you have to redub animes and various with like American actors, or refilm the American version of British comedies and all this sort of stuff. It seems to be a thing.
It was really bad in the 90s, where a lot of anime say, because like in Japan they drive on the left hand side of the road because that's the way you should do it if you're not a silly Billy, and they would flip frames so it looked like the cars were on the other side of the road. Or they'd be like, oh yeah, we can't do XYZ, or I remember I watched an episode of Cardcaptor Sakura where they just she opened a book and it had a bunch of Japanese text in it and they just censored it. They just blurred it all.
Yeah, that was
and it was like, that's kind of gross. What the fuck?
Well, this isn't...
Or like Pokemon where they're eating like onigiri and it's like, oh, these hot dogs are delicious.
That's jelly donut. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you Ash, are you having a stroke? Jesus Christ, seek medical attention.
Yeah, it's a bit... It is my biggest criticism of the show, but only because... And it's such a nothing issue, but there is no other criticisms I can make of it, basically.
That's pretty good if that's the only thing.
It does just sort of distract you ever so slightly, being like, why are they like going out of their way to set this in not a British school? Like, it's just a bit weird. And like,
so are all the
actors?
The actors, or are they American, or are they?
No, they're all British, and they have an assortment. None of them have like Welsh accents or regional of where they are accents. There's but they're all over it. There's basically all over UK accents. There's Scottish people and Southern people and Yorkshire people and people from kind of all over the UK. So it's sort of non-specific region in that sense.
So it's an unspecified American school set somewhere in the UK, but nowhere specifically, but also kind of one place.
Yeah, which is quite fun, but also it's just I don't know, it's ever so slightly distracting in that you're sort of why is this happening?
That is a confusing conceit for something not about it.
Yeah, but it's not really a criticism at all, to be honest. It's just I have nothing else bad to say about it because it's just brilliant. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's awkward and teenage and gross and hilarious and adorable and sweet and aggravating sometimes, and it's fantastic. Yeah, give it a try and let me know what you think.
Yeah, definitely.
I've really enjoyed it. I probably recommend watching it in order. It's a little bit weird having watched the end of the second season and then gone back, but it's quite interesting because I've watched the characters and be like, oh, I know what you're like, because it starts off and a lot of the characters are quite cliched and stereotyped, and then they obviously develop as characters really quickly.
That's pretty common though. So.
But yeah. But it's weird watching them and then being like, oh, I know what you're going to become, or I know what your character arc is. So it's a bit of a weird way of watching it, but I'm sure it's good if you watch it in the sensible order.
I don't know, I personally like to skip to the centre of a book, read to the end, and then go read the rest of it, so it seems perfectly sensible to me.
Good. But yeah, very good. I highly recommend.
Hmm.
And there's it's 10 episodes a series, and there's 2 series, but the episodes are about an hour, I think.
Okay.
So there's quite a good amount of it. It's not just something you'll burn through in a few hours. So, I mean, you'll burn through it in a fair few hours, but you'll do it quickly because you'll watch an episode. It's definitely one of those where you're like, and I'm just gonna let the next episode go. Yeah, very good. But yeah, that's me done. Snipe,
Yes.
what have you been up to?
Well, I've been, again, quarantined. Mental health's been a bit shaky, so I've just kind of been sticking with my comfort games. I've watched a couple of horror movies.
Okay.
I watched Unfriended,
Ooh.
which is actually, it's a really interesting idea because, I mean, the idea is kind of boring, but the way they film it is actually pretty interesting. So it's basically, it all takes place on a desktop. And it's like the main character is some girl. It's literally, it's like a slasher movie.
Is this the one that's Skype the horror movie?
It's Skype the horror movie. So that
As in a desktop, as in a Windows desktop, not a physical desk.
Well, it's Mac, so you know.
Oh, okay.
But yeah. And it's just like this girl is just on a Skype window with her boyfriend and her friends, and they're talking about how a friend of theirs committed suicide and stuff like that, and it's just. It turns out that the girl who killed herself is like an angry MSN spirit now, and she's sending angry Facebook messages to people, and it's basically like, you know, one by one they're bumped off kind of thing, and it's just like, it's an interesting way to film that, but also it's kind of silly. Because it's so limiting.
Yeah, because the only bits I've seen of that movie are just the bits where it's just teenage angst over Skype.
Yeah, and it's just a bunch of people shouting. And I mean, to be fair, the effect of you know, the weird kind of what would you call it? Like the weird glitchy kind of digital signal thing.
I mean, when the bitrate craps
With
itself.
the bitrate craps itself, yeah. Like, they put that in, and it's like, that looks pretty good, actually. But yeah, like,
that's the thing they use to hide where the takes are, isn't it?
Yeah. None of the characters are likable. All of them are complete fucking pieces of shit. And it's basically like, if you've seen M. Night Shyamalan's Devil, it's like that, but it's in a Skype call.
What?
M. Night Shyamalan's Devil is where there's a bunch of people stuck in an elevator and they've all done sins, like, one guy, I think, just, like, cheated on his taxes once. And
he definitely deserves to be tortured by the devil.
Yeah, and then the devil literally just starts killing them one by one, and it's kind of like that, but a bit shittier. I mean, the devil wasn't fantastic. It had a couple of really eerie shots, and it was a nice idea, but it didn't quite do it for me. But it's like that, but it's Skype and Facebook.
Well.
Yeah. And
when was this made?
Like last year.
Yeah, it's not very old. I do remember people talking about it.
And like, the thing is, like, when, like, the scene needs scary or, like, heart-wrenching music because somebody's died, they just open iTunes and put the song on. It's like, oh yeah, you've just watched your friend die. Time to listen to, like, Everybody Hurts by Aria. That song is not in there. I'm just not hip and young enough to know what sad songs are
It
common.
does give me hope that with the simple use of a few programs and shadow play, that I too could make a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's an interesting idea. I've not seen that done before, and it was like, yeah. But it's you've got the kind of found footage problem where nobody would be like, because they've all got like, they're all at their computers. So, you know, they've all got their webcams on, all their laptops with the webcam built in, and it's like, oh, there's someone in my house, let me pick up my laptop and just kind of like make sure it's focused on my face.
I want the person that has a desktop to do that.
No, he doesn't. He just kind of runs around for a bit because he's He's
Sorry,
the
I've
nerd who can backtrace the IPs, so he's like hunting for IPs
I
and
have
shit.
this very Scooby-Doo image in my head of him running backwards and forwards past his webcam with like a killer chasing with a knife.
Oh, honestly, no, because it's like a supernatural thing, so you don't ever... Nah, it's a bit there. But yeah, that was... It was really funny because of how shitty everyone was. But it was funny for all the wrong reasons. I watched another one.
Yeah.
Called Annabelle Creation. Now, I'll give a bit of backstory on this. Annabelle is part of the Conjuring universe.
Have you watched a single other movie in the Conjuring series?
No.
Have you watched a single other movie in the Annabelle series?
No. But anyway, I'm still...
Should you have?
Probably?
Because isn't this a prequel?
Yeah, well, it's Annabelle Creation. So it's like some guy who looks so familiar. Like, his kid dies, and then there's a doll that is made, and it's just like, oh, I miss my little girl. Time to make this creepiest fucking doll of her. Because, of course. And then, yeah, because like, if you're not familiar, Annabelle is basically based on the... It was during the 60s, 70s, there was an evil possessed doll called Annabelle that a nurse was gifted. Like, the mum obviously didn't know that she was like, here is an evil fucking doll, darling, happy birthday. So her mum gave her this Raggedy Ann doll that the woman called Annabelle, and apparently it had like, it was demonic and blah, and now it resides in an occult museum because it's super evil.
If I remember,
even though I don't think it did anything.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, isn't it one of those ones where it turned out everyone was lying?
I don't remember
obviously
because
obviously.
obviously.
They were lying, but
Yeah,
lying's the wrong word. But,
well, no, either they were kind of like fabricating stuff or they didn't mean to, because it was a fucking Raggedy Ann doll. And Annabelle is in the Conjuring universe as just a creepy porcelain doll that is so comedically evil, no one would ever think it's not. It is literally, it might as well have a tramp stamp like that says literally the fucking devil.
It's basically the equivalent as if you were to say, like if you made a movie and you cast someone to play an evil politician who looked exactly like Michael Gove.
I mean, that's just too easy.
You'd say it was too on the nose.
Yeah.
It would be the equivalent of doing that, except of course Michael Gove's an actual politician.
I mean, like, my criticisms of the Annabelle thing is like, okay, so I get it was probably a copyrighted thing, because the Raggedy Ann doll is referenced in this movie, which is like, that's a nice nod. But, okay, so companies, when they have, like, you know, this kind of stuff, so the people who hold the copyright and the patents and stuff for the Raggedy Ann and Raggedy Andy's will have sat there and gone, you can't use our doll's likeness for your movie, because, you know, they don't want their product looking like it can harm people, that kind of thing.
Could I make a perhaps more cynical observation as
and
to why they
also
might do
money?
That if you make your own doll, then you can create merchandise of that doll. And
Yeah,
then you
money.
own the rights to it.
Yeah. So, like, there's all sorts of bullshit involved. But, like, the doll they chose is so obviously just, like, designed to be creepy that it's not. It's not scary at all. It's just a stupid-looking fucking doll. And, I mean, like, some people might find it scary, but, like, I just look at it and go, that is just somebody desperately trying to scare me, and it's trying way too fucking hard. But that's, again, my opinion. And it's about a bunch of girls go to an orphanage, like, well, not from an orphanage to this fucking guy's house, where they're like, oh no, we hid the doll behind, like, paper mache in a cupboard. And they start seeing shit, and they start, like, hearing weird things, and, you know, Annabelle is like, bleh, I'm a big scary dolly boy, girl, dolly thing, whatever. And it's just, that's it, and then there's some really weak scares. I mean, there was one where it's like, which would have kind of got under my skin if I hadn't seen it in Paranormal Activity, where there's, like, a kid-size, like, you know when you put, like, a sheet over yourself and you're like, ooh, I'm a spooky ghost.
Yeah.
That literally happens, but
Good.
It's on the Annabelle doll.
Okay.
And it walks up to one of the main girls, and she's like, it's not funny, or whatever she says. And then, like, while she's looking at it, it just drops into nothing. And it's like, that is a cool scare. Unfortunately, seeing it in Paranormal Activity, where it was done a little bit better.
I guess the other thing is that since this is a prequel movie, they can't. Then there's no reason for them to like maintain the illusion that this thing could not be haunted, because you, as a viewer watching a prequel to a thing, already know that it is haunted. So there's no reason to maintain that tension. So it's probably the worst place to come into a series.
So, no, absolutely. But I mean, like, just judging it on kind of like the scares and stuff alone, it really didn't have much tension to it. It's like, it just gets straight into the scares. And I'm like, come on, you gotta work up to it a little bit first, you know? But, okay, fine. And like, they do reference The Nun, because the Nun movie is also within the Conjuring extended universe, I don't know. Who the actress who plays the nun, fucking phenomenal looking woman. Seriously, she is amazing. Like, wow. She has such an interesting look. Like, honestly, she's gorgeous to look at. But yeah, like looking at a convent picture, it's like, oh yes, because there's like a nun there, because like she's not the evil nun though, she's a good nun.
So you keep saying nun, I keep wanting to say none of what?
No, because I say none and none. Oh no.
Sorry, do continue. Ignore me.
Thank you. But yeah, and like the lady who's in charge of all the orphans, the nun, she's like the good one. She's like, oh, look at this picture I had taken of my convent, and there's like this suspiciously empty space to the far right, where like it's like, because it's all like cropped pretty neatly, and then there's just like a bit off to the right, and like the guy kind of moves it in his hand, and there's like, you know, like the 3D effect, or like the shiny thing where something is invisible and then the light hits it when you move it and it's visible.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called.
It's going to drive me nuts now. I used to know what that was called.
That basically they've got like a special holographic like convent photo that has the nun in it.
Like who's the obviously evil nun?
And
That sister eats babies. Like
that sister punches and eats children. Yeah, we didn't see much of her
that
actually.
Sister spits in God's eye and pisses in his mouth.
Yeah,
she wasn't here for very long.
She wasn't here for very long. Like we didn't see her at morning prayer because she was sharpening her fucking fangs. But yeah, it's just like, okay, yeah, that's fun. And honestly, it's like, I think I'm a bit too old for it, and I'm not invested in the series, so it was a bit wasted on me. But I was just kind of whatever. Also, Doom Eternal.
Oh yeah, that's a video game that happened, isn't it?
Oh my hecking god, is that a good game. Doom guys never looked hotter. Because let's be honest, that's all we're there for. Right, ladies and gentlemen and everyone else, am I right? Yeah. No, it's a lot more story driven. If I have one criticism of it, it's the ammo situation is really frustrating early on in the game. And I have another criticism. The story mode, I feel, should be entirely from the Doomslayer's perspective, like first person. It does pan out into third person frequently, and it's like, I don't think it works very well.
Yeah, I've only seen the first, like, 3 or so hours when I was on stream with you doing it. And yeah, I do feel that it takes away somewhat from the Doomslayer's personality to cut away from him. Because, well, like, in Doom 2016, it was really... You got a real good sense of his his chaotic energy,
mindedness,
from the fact everything was from his perspective.
Yeah, it's a little bit more serious than this. Not as many jokes. They do the thing of like, the Mortally Challenge, which is fucking tedious. It's a hell of a lot harder. Like, God, is this game difficult? But it's good. I like it. I hate the purple goop. The purple goopy stops you from like dashing or jumping. Fuck you. In a game that's like super focused on like hyper mobility, it's just like, okay, now I can't even run. Thanks. It's really annoying, but whatever. The new demons are cool. fighting pain elementals, like the levels are pretty severe. You have like a hub. You have your Fortress of Doom, where you can go to the Doomslayer's bedroom, which is like he's got like a bunch of guitars. He's got like a bunch of books, which is just so many little Easter eggs, like, retcons. A Flynn Taggart story, and Flynn Taggart was the Doom, like, Marine Doom guy's name in the Doom comics, where Rip and Tear comes from. It kind of goes into why Rip and Tear is a thing.
I think that one's like.
Oh wait, no, that was from maybe a novelization actually.
I think that version of it is from the novelization because he doesn't have a name. I don't believe so in the Doom comic.
The Doom
fucking
comic,
Doom comic,
TM, yeah.
Which I legit would love a physical copy of one day.
I would too.
It's the worst, best thing.
How he literally starts crying when he picks up the BFG. He's literally fucking crying with joy.
Every single line of dialogue in the Doom comic is fucking gold.
It's perfect. But yeah, and like Daisy, his bunny's in it. Because like there's a whole thing of like, oh yeah, Doom guy goes bananas and kills all the demons because they kill his bunny Daisy. Because he has a pet rabbit called Daisy.
That's from Ye Old Doom.
That's from Ye Old Doom, yeah. And it's like, that's cool. You also have access to the, like, basically the old Doom, like, costume as well, which is amazing. There's so many nice little nods in there. I really enjoy it. Very good.
How because you've not beat it yet, have you?
No.
How would you say it currently stacks up to Doom 2016?
I'd say you probably wouldn't appreciate it as much if you hadn't played 2016, because it's like it's more of the same, but it's more and then some. So it's like, oh yeah, here's all these like recognizable like demons and then some. So now like, when you encounter like a fucking like a Hell Knight, they are actually a problem. That you have to think strategically, you have to be hypermobile. It's a lot more engaging. I can imagine someone coming into the series at like Doom Eternal would get their fucking shit rocked. Because oh my god, it's a lot. It is a lot of information. There's a lot of subsystems.
Oh my god, is there a lot of systems going on in that game?
So many systems going on in that game. It is quite overwhelming at times. But I like it. And like as someone who fucking completed Doom 2016 like 8,000 times, yeah, I like it a lot. But yeah, that's good. I've also, Drum Metal like this, I've been getting into running.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so I've been doing my Couch to 5k.
Oh, nice.
I'm on like my third week, but I repeated week 1 twice because I went for my first run, which if anyone's interested in getting into running, this like Couch to 5k is really, really good, and I have an app for it of some guy who's got a really nice voice called Michael Johnson, who comes in and is like, "You're doing great." And I'm like, "Thank you, Michael." But yeah, it's just like the first 3 sessions is like 30-minute runs where you go for a 5-minute warm-up walk, like it's a brisk walk, then you run for, like, you jog for 60 seconds, then you walk for like 90 seconds, and you do that until like for like basically 20 minutes until you have a 5-minute warm down walk. And you just do that, like, and leave a day in between. And now I'm up to running for 90 seconds and walking briskly for 2 minutes. And I am really surprised at how I'm doing it. I'm doing well. Because I was always really piss poor at this kind of stuff. And like my stamina is shit. But getting into boxing and stuff, I can't have bad stamina. At all. That's just... That's just... You just fucking... There's no point. Well, in the way I want to get into it anyway. But yeah, no, I've been oof. I've like, the weird thing is because I've been so exhausted lately, so usually when I exercise, I feel like pumped and I'm like, fuck yeah, and I could keep going. That happens, but it only lasts for about 10 minutes, and then I am so fucking exhausted because I've been for a run today. And I was
hence the exhaustion.
Hence
well, that
the
and
severe
the not having
exhaustion.
slept.
Yeah, but no, it's like because the funny thing is, and I'm like, if anyone else is interested in getting into running, don't worry. Like,
say if anyone was interested in getting involved in running, don't.
No, seriously, it's actually pretty rad. And I would just say, you know, don't push yourself. Like, you don't have to like tear ass. You just, like, as long as you keep a stable pace that you can deal with, that's fine. I mean, I was talking to my PT and he was like, honestly, if it's just you walk briskly and then for 60 seconds, you walk a little bit faster, that's still completely fine and you're still doing it and that's still fucking awesome. So it's like, it doesn't matter how fast you are or how, like, ignore where you think you should be. And just stick with what you can do, because then you will eventually be able to get there. Yeah. And doing it at your own pace means that that's a more healthy physically and mental way of doing it.
Yeah. Yeah, my mum did the Couch to 5K. Or she didn't do Couch to 5K, she did a different app that was a similar sort of thing.
Yeah.
And she just doubled up every week. So she did week 1 twice and then week 2 twice, just because that fitted with her pace better, but she stuck at it and she got to the end and now she can do 5K.
Yeah,
which I'm so proud of her for, because before she couldn't run at all. Like or at least she thought she couldn't run at all. Yeah. And she's like, oh, you know, running's not for me, I don't like it, I tried it once and I didn't like it. But yeah, I think it's one of those, if you can get into it at your own pace.
Absolutely.
Without pushing yourself too much.
Yeah, if anyone at any point is like, oh, you should be here, ignore them, they are bullshit. Like, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I have been told by literal people who have gone to university to, like, study this shit, that as long as you're, you know, going at your own pace, like, you know, not like kind of, oh, I'm going to go out and walk at approximately 0 miles an hour. It's like, no, you've got to kind of, like, it's...
As long as you're pushing yourself.
Yeah, because, like my PT Bill, he was like, look, you know, you've got to give, like, 6 out of 10 effort. Because that's, like, kind of, like, you know, so...
Sustainable.
Because then, like, because you could go for 10 out of 10 effort, but you'll most likely injure yourself, or you'll just, like, you'll burn out super quick and just get really exhausted. And neither of those are very conducive. It's about stability and, you know, and, like, you know, going at a... What's the word? Consistent pace. So, yeah, if your 6 out of 10 is just walking quickly... That's all you need to do. And then, like, you know, like, in a couple of weeks or, like, a month, however long it might take you, your 6 out of 10 might be going a bit quicker. It's that. Yeah. But yeah, my first run, I couldn't go for my next run, because what it is, it's like, you run one day, skip a day, go the next. And I was going to be like, yeah, I'll go for a run in, like, you know, in like, not tomorrow, but the day after. I could not. My calf muscles were fucked. I could barely fucking move for like 3-4 days. Then I went out and I've been fine ever since. It's just that initial owie. And also... wear appropriate underwear, because if you don't, you might physically feel yourself being sawn in half.
Yeah, I when I started running, I just did it in baggy football shorts, because that's what I had, and it was fine for the first, when I was just doing like a few kilometres, but as soon as I upped it, I think it was when I started going above 5 kilometres, I just got back from my run with such ridiculous thigh chafing. It was just like, oh my god, so uncomfortable. Get running shorts. Is my recommendation.
Yeah, or like get thingy, what is it? Like lycra workout, like really skin tight trousers.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, shorts or the trouser version. But yeah. And wear baggy if you don't feel, because for the first quite a while I didn't feel comfortable being out in public in tights, because, you know, the environment and world we live in means that men can't wear tights in public. Yeah, so,
because everyone, well, like, there's a lot of people who are just dickheads about it.
Yeah. So I just wore baggy shorts over it, and then now I'm just like, you know what, fuck it, it's fine, I don't care. But, you know, if you feel you don't want to be put off doing it because you're worrying about what people think, and so it's fine to wear comfy baggy things over the top of them. But I recommend at least underneath wearing the running shorts or running leggings or whatever, because definitely. Chafing is real.
Chafing is real. I literally saw a guy who was running like a fucking... one of the real long... like runs, like it was a real long one, and this guy had chafed his nipples so hard he just had 2 big patches of blood.
I have ended a race like that. It was not pleasant.
It was horrific to look at. So it's like, you know, it does, like, no one cares what you look like, as long as you've got clothes on. That's all they really care about. But no, I'm getting into that, and it's really nice.
Oh, good. Oh, well done.
So maybe one day I'll be able to run a race with you and just get
Yeah.
my nipples super bloody.
Yeah, well, you've got the next however long the lockdown lasts to get up to doing a, and then if you finish your couch to 5K by then, we can go do a park run together or something.
Oh, that sounds really cool. But yeah, it's a 9-week course, the one I'm on. Because 9 weeks is the 5K mark.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
I might have to repeat a few. Doesn't matter if I do.
it. And that's fine. And if
But
you get, that's fine.
But yeah, that's me done. Basically, what I've been
Nice.
up to. Have we got many questions, Drummer Matt?
We have a few questions. Yeah.
Okay. Wib, what's the email address?
It's only drummermat at snipeandwib@gmail.com.
Yes,
and
it is.
more importantly, if you send a question in after you hear this, then it will go into the
Maybe pile.
a bag for the 100th live episode. So if you have a specific question that would be fun for us to answer on the 100th episode, that will be live and everything, then be sure to send it in to us.
Yeah.
But that's not right now. What are the questions right now, Matthew?
Okay. Questions right now. Lava Lung.
Hello.
Do you guys play any games or collect for any game systems that are not GW or Citadel owned?
No, don't have the money for it.
No. Literally just soaks up all my cash.
Yeah, fair. I did buy a box of, like, the intro box or beginner box or whatever it was for a different system that I've now completely forgotten who they are.
Dead Zone.
Yeah. that was it.
Mantic's Dead Zone.
Yeah,
Dead Zone or
Mantic.
Dread Zone? I always forget.
I think
Dead
it's Dread Zone.
It's Dead Zone and Dread Ball, I think.
I think so, yeah.
It's better named than a lot of GW stuff, but
What, because they only have like a cycle of 4 names?
yeah, I did get the box of that, and I really liked the models, and I really liked how cheap the models were compared to GW stuff, and not being much worse, really. They were like 90% as good for 50% the price, sort of thing. Or those numbers might not be exact, but that's the sort of gist of it.
I remember we played like a single game of it and it being quite fun.
Yeah, but there's just, without the whole community around it, it's just less enticing to do, I think.
Yeah. We also did play a bunch of Gaslands, although you don't really so much collect the miniatures of that as buy Hot Wheels cars and then slap bits on them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. Oh, I've got that because I've got a 3D printer. I can print off the templates now. That's something I can actually do with this 3D printer that I obtained.
Yeah, we do need to play that. We need to
yeah,
play
no,
that.
I would love to.
There's a
get
new
into that
version of it out now, actually, like
is there?
like a second edition of it.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look into that. Yeah, if it's the first one was good. It was complicated, but I think worthwhile in its complications. In that, once you got your head around how it worked, it was good. And I think simplifying it would have taken away from the game, but it just meant it was a little bit intimidating to get into. And your first few games took hours because you were trying to remember all the rules and work out how to do it.
But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it, so I would like to get back into that again.
But yeah, they don't make their models, so it's a bit of a weird one. Like, you don't collect for it as such. You buy the whole book and then
you do, but you make everything yourself.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Oh, Gaslands is great. All right. Next up, Acidus.
Hello.
I love this question. You come home from a long day of self-isolating at home.
I do. I do, yeah.
And who do you find in your living room but none other than, I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Trazin, the Infinite? Trazin?
yeah, the Necron dude.
The Necron dude. He says that he will not leave until you hand him over a prized artifact for his collection. What piece of tat do you give him to send him away?
I would give him the greatest worst thing that I own, which is an original Master System copy of the game Action Fighter, which is like Spy Hunter but worse by every metric, that I just happen to love for some reason, so I have an original copy of it.
I would give him your DVD copy of Andromeda.
That's because you just want
I want out the fucking
you want
house.
Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda out the fucking flat is what you want.
That's exactly what I want, yeah.
And that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And then
that's
he'd
fair.
wipe out the human race, which is like, you know what? Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you do, Matt?
I would give him...
The
This
blow
thing-
gibber of his life.
I just imagine he'd be cold.
Yeah, but then it's like, it's like sucking on an ice lolly.
That's true.
And then when
Okay, I dunk him in like some sort of like chocolate sauce to give him a bit of flavour, and then
You're not worried about your tongue getting stuck to it if it's that cold.
it's not
it's
that
not frozen.
cold.
It's just like
It's
not
just
very.
cold.
It could
it's
be.
just-
It could have been from the depths of space.
It's like sorbet,
True,
kind of like
true.
quite chilly. But yeah.
Okay.
You're also
No,
making the assumption that Necrons have penises, which I'm like
Well, this one
99%
might,
certain
and
they do
if-
not have any
And
form
if
of
they
genitalia.
don't, you could that could be the artifact. Drummat could 3D print him a penis.
I could just get a magnet something on there.
Yeah,
That's what rare earth magnets are for.
yeah.
exactly.
Necron
Yeah, you have to
dicks.
use rare earth magnets because you don't want to use a lesser strength magnet and then for it to come off as your mid deep throat.
No.
And as the upside, it means that as like me, as someone that has magnetized a lot of their Warhammer, it means that when you're done with the penis, you can take it off and then replace it with like a set of las cannons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you can just fuck a las cannon barrel, a fake
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, that is also an option. It doesn't help with this situation, but it is
Flame
something
based,
you can
everybody.
do.
Okay, but what would your actual answer be, Matthew?
Okay, I would give him my last plectrum because you know how you have like infinite plectrums and then they
There's
last
the-
for ages, but
There's
eventually
the
you-
one that never goes.
Yeah, well, you just lose them everywhere, but then you always have one that lasts ages.
Yeah.
But the thing is, as soon as you lose that one, you find another one down the back of the sofa, so it's like infinitely valuable, but also very quickly replaceable.
Plectrums do exist in a very weird strata of value.
Yeah, you have loads of them, and then you get down to one and have it for like 6 months. But then you lose it, and you find another one that you can hang on till 6 months until you decide to buy a new set, and then you have loads that you lose straight away.
You mean that one that you use for ages and you go, I've kind of blunted the end of this to the point that it's exactly as sharp as the other 2 points.
Yeah.
Did you mean Snipe plays the bass
No.
for like 2 gigs?
No, you shatter them.
I have shattered multiple picks on stage because I play so hard.
You see,
And I've grated them as well. So
Oh,
they
yeah.
get covered in like red plastic.
oh no, I remember we
We bought like a job lot of picks.
Dicko bought like some really cheap ones, like a huge job lot of them, and we used them for a bit. And yeah, the way you play
I would
bass,
shatter them constantly. They would shred. They
you would go
literally be,
through like 3 of them a gig.
easily.
And,
At
like-
least 3 a
and it's
gig.
not like the thing
And
of,
then
like-
it would be like, oh, I've run out. The red one's shattered. Then it's like my base is covered in like plastic shavings, like red plastic shavings. Then I'll pick
Yeah.
up a purple one, and then that'll be covered in. It just, I would make confetti.
Yeah, it was those were weird.
And
They were
shatter the fucking things because they were so like brittle.
Yeah, they were definitely shouldn't have been used to play bass with at all, and 100% not you playing. It was a thing.
It was a fucking thing.
But yeah, next question.
I think on my old base, I've still got loads of like fucking plastic shavings behind the
Probably.
pickups.
Probably. But yeah, next question.
Okay, well, Acid just also sent another email
Okay.
with the
Okay.
following phrase just repeated about 50 odd times.
Okay.
It just said, Hive Fleet Bovril.
Fuck off, Acidus. That was from a stream, and I'm super mad about it. I don't like it at all. 0 out of 10. Very bad email. Not happy.
Okay, next up, Noob Painter.
Hello.
Question for Snipe.
Oh.
Since she is the all-knowing font of Age of Sigmar lore,
Oh yeah, I wrote it all.
did GW consult you on the new version of Warhammer Fantasy that they're making?
Yes. In fact, I am creative director on it, but I am under NDA. So all I can say is that dicks are making a huge comeback. At least that's
Dicks
what
are coming.
Dicks are coming.
Dicks are coming. Good. Okay.
You
On a
heard, it here,
related note-
you heard it here first.
Warhammer Fantasy is going to be wall-to-wall cock. It's going to be amazing.
I mean, that is most people's fantasy. No,
Yeah.
it's not. It's some people's fantasy. I misspoke.
Yeah, that's fine. But
on a more
I don't know how they're going to deal with, because that's just what I've written.
So on a related and yet frankly more realistic note, Mikkel emailed in to say, I know that Warhammer Fantasy isn't a setting you're familiar with,
Excuse you?
but what's your opinion on the Kislev Ice Guard that was revealed a few days back on Warhammer for Warhammer the Old World?
Freaking love them. They look fantastic.
I've literally not looked at them because I don't pay attention to Warhammer Fantasy.
I thought they looked pretty cool.
I think
Being
they're
a-
cool because I designed them.
Yeah. Being a originally a fantasy player, back in the day I remember I bought because Kislev's like a sort of Empire adjacent faction. and I collected Empire. So within that, there was at Games Day, I think it was one year I bought it. They have a Tsar Boris on a bear model, which is just a bloke
vaguely
in a
remember
hat
that,
riding
actually.
a bear. And I remember buying it at Games Day one year, and then kind of falling off the hobby before I'd properly assembled it, and then I now have no idea where it is. But that was a cool model. So
if it helps when it comes to that thing, I have used a couple of the. So you remember ages ago you gave some Goblin Wolf Riders to Snipe to use as Fenrisian wolves.
You did?
okay, good.
And some goblins were still on them. I have used some of those heads in my Grot Rebellion.
Excellent.
So they have been used.
I think they would have been my brothers, to be honest.
I believe
Yeah, they
it
were
was-
your
I
brothers. Yeah.
I was Empire, and one of my brothers was Skaven, and the other brother was goblins, orcs, and goblins.
I believe you did basically say when you gave it to us, it was like, technically these are like your brothers, but he won't notice and won't care.
But yeah, I like what they're going for with this. I'm quite intrigued as to what they do with this old Warhammer Old World thing, because I think I've mentioned before, the Age of Sigmar, it just doesn't quite jump out at me in the same way that Fantasy did.
I'm the opposite.
Whereas if they bring
yeah.
back Fantasy properly, I'd be well up for that. It's just I'm not saying Age of Sigmar is bad. It's just it doesn't quite jump out at me in the same way as I just like.
Honestly,
something about
like you don't
Fantasy.
have to justify it. If it's just not quite your speed, or like you don't click with it, then you just don't, and that's fine. So don't worry. Now, if you were like, I don't click with it because WOMs, then that's a problem.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but you wouldn't. So
Yeah. Okie dokie. Geisterdans. Recommending something that you've probably heard of. I've seen it's been kind of everywhere in the last 2 days, but I still haven't watched it yet.
showering? No, okay.
Netflix show called Tiger King.
Honestly, I am sick to fucking death of seeing.
I have
that
seen far
fucking
too much
shit.
of it to actually want to watch it now.
I've seen
But-
like literally people are memeing it so hard. I'm just like, no, I'm gonna ignore this until like a year has passed. Then I might watch it because oh my god, I'm so sick of everyone just being like, hey, Tiger King, blonde mullets, tiger. I'm like, I don't care.
I have learned more about the show by you saying that sentence than I knew beforehand.
It's
all I knew
literally
is that
everywhere.
all I had seen people say is that it was a thing that existed, but I knew absolutely nothing about it.
Sorry, guys, to Tans. Like, I don't mean to be like, hey, thanks for suggesting something, you absolute cur. But no, it's just kind of like, oh, I need to, like, it needs to cool off before I watch it, because seriously, like, I don't know what it is about my social medias, it's just everyone is fucking just memeing about it, and I'm just so done with it already, so I just need to... There's a cooling off period I need. But that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably in the same boat, to be honest. It looks interesting, and I would want to watch it, but I'm already done with it before I start.
Yeah.
So,
I think I'm the only person who should probably try and watch it
Yeah,
then,
go watch it, and then tell us if it's any good.
I have literally no expectations. All I know is it is a thing that exists that some people may like unironically or may like ironically. I don't even know that much. I don't know how legitimate the liking of it is.
I don't know, but yeah. I've been memed out, so I'm kind of like, ugh.
Yeah, fair. All right, next up. Eddie Two Sheds.
Oh, I wonder why they're calling that. Is it because he has 3 sheds?
Sorry,
it might
that name just tickles me.
Yeah, it's good, right? Any suggestions for podcast games? They had Euro Truck Simulator for a while, but they feel like they're done with that.
Stardew Valley. That's a good one.
Elite Dangerous is a good one.
Yeah. Banished is a good one. Sims. The Sims is really good if you just want to like build shit or like destroy lives or like see how good the genetics is. That's good too.
Any big simulator is really pretty good. Things like City Skylines, very good for that.
Yeah. See, I just want to go, so you had Euro Truck Simulator. Can I point you in the direction of American Truck Simulator?
Oh no, wait! I know the ultimate one because it's one of the biggest time sink games I've ever played.
Oh no.
Factorio.
Ah, yes.
Oh, I'm gonna say one. Minecraft.
A little underground game.
Little underground. You might have
Literally.
heard of it. Ah.
Hey.
Oh, just get the shovel. You're digging your own grave there. Because
I've hit bedrock.
oh,
Okay, I'm going to move on.
Please.
Second question. What do the traitor Primarchs do on an average day? They must do something while waiting to be summoned by their cultists, right?
they read manga, good
Right.
manga, like
Good
Way
manga?
of the House Husband or Beastars
Okay.
or other stuff. like Ore Monogatari or My Love Story. That I'd say that's definitely Angron's favorite because it is a really sweet story.
You know what the actual answer is? Brood.
Yeah, they're pretty two-dimensional a lot of the time, so...
I mean, Angron is literally just sitting there the whole time, just going... Basically sounded like a camping kettle going off the whole time.
Yeah. But the thing is, he's on Reddit all day, which is why he's like, it makes him super
That's
mad.
why he's so angry.
That's why he's so angry.
To be fair, I do make that noise every time I look at Reddit.
Yeah, same, honestly. Because you can't go, like, one post without someone making a fucking garbage joke that's just really hurtful and silly. So, yeah, it's Angron's just being super mad about it. What do you guys think? Apart from brooding, what do you think they do?
I don't know, it's probably just having a good old wank, really.
I think they probably would.
I wonder if Fulgrim ever gets bored of wanking his snake dick.
Would you, if you had a snake dick?
I mean, he's got 4 arms, so...
Yeah.
That just means that more opportunity to try and fail at the stranger.
But the stranger's stranger.
The strangest thing is that his cock's a snake.
I mean, yeah, that does make it a pretty strange
Quite
stranger.
strange.
I mean, more
Do you think, like, he would... Because, like, if you had 4 arms, like, everyone gets a bit freaky. Well, most people. So, like, you think, like, okay, so do you think maybe he'd try, like, left and right hand? Or, like, all 4? Like, just choking his snake
I
there?
guess it depends on
Just
how big...
waxing
is
that
his snake?
dolphin? Well, I mean, like, maybe he has really small hands. Or, like, really big hands.
I mean,
don't know.
we've not seen behind his anal plate, so...
Unfortunately. Not yet.
He could have one hand on his snake, one hand on his... Does his snake have balls? Presumably.
Yeah, they're just smaller snakes. They're like Tsuchinokos. They're just
Okay, so
He's a little
he
chub
can have
snake.
one
chubby
hand,
snake, yeah.
one hand on his main snake, one hand on each of his snake balls, and then one hand on his butt.
Is his butt just an open snake mouth?
Sure.
So yeah,
yes without
so he has
thinking about
one. He has one. But oh my god, what's he gonna do with the nips? Are his nipples like rattlesnake like rattles? So when he gets turned on, you just hear this. That's what a rattlesnake sounds. It sounds like a plate breaking.
It is painfully obvious that I'm the only one here that has read a book of Fulgrim post-mutation.
Yeah, and you're the only
Yes.
one with like a closed mind and can't see the possibilities of snake anus, snanus if you will, or sneenus, and snorls, and snipples.
Okay, good. Moving on.
Okay.
James wrote in
Hi James.
recommending a bunch of Mobile Suit Gundam shows for the lockdown entertainment.
Okay.
Oh yeah,
you
because
guys-
there's a million fucking Gundam shows.
Yeah,
isn't there?
take your time. The ones I won't go into too much detail about which one's which, but the 3 he suggested are Iron Blooded Orphans, Gundam: The Origin, and Gundam Thunderbolt.
Okay.
Are these good to start off with? Because I've always wanted to kind of try Gundam, but it's one of those things you look at and you go, where the fucking hell do I start with? It's a bit
It's like
trying to
comic books.
It's like trying to get into like Ultraman, and you go, okay, like I can obviously just start at the start, and then you realise that the very first show is not even called Ultraman; it's called Ultra Q, and actually has very little to do with Ultraman.
Okay,
it just
okay,
has
don't
some
mess
Okay, you
with
need
that.
to
crossover.
slow down. Take a breath. Everything
Okay,
is fine.
But that's basically how I feel when I look at Gundam. I'm just endlessly
Well, this
confused.
this first one, Iron Blooded Orphans, is set in its own timeline, so you don't need to know any of the other stuff to enjoy it. It's
I
its own,
like that.
separate
I
thing.
like that.
So there you go. Oh, and there's a robot whose name directly translates to Bearded King of Wolves, so there's something there for Snipe too.
Excellent.
Oh, I like that.
I've watched. Have you guys watched any Gundam stuff? I watched Gundam Seed and Gundam Seed Destiny. I think that's what
I
they're
tried to watch a little bit of Gundam Wing when it was on. Was it Toonami?
Toonami, yeah.
The late night thing.
called. Yeah, definitely not watch cartoons online. Definitely not.
I tried to watch a few back in the day, but every time I watched an episode, it'd be like dense politics of the world, and I had no context for any of it. And I'm like, I just want to see the robots punch each other. And if I've not got any good context for the rest of it, it was like, well, I don't know what's happening. I don't even know why the robots are punching each other. I'm so confused.
Well, if you'd paid attention to the politics. I don't know.
In the 10 episodes I hadn't seen nor had any, nor you even knew existed before that moment.
Yep.
All right. Next up, Robert.
Hello.
I'm a bassist and a singer.
Good man.
I've always liked ska and ska-adjacent genres, but never got chance to play such music in a band. So to remedy this, I'm thinking of picking up a new instrument in the brass section. I'm drawn to the trombone, but trumpet and sax sound very good too. Do you have any advice?
Trumpet.
I personally think if you're going to
Because trombone is big.
And scary.
if you've got the chance, or if you're going to be the only person in a band
You
who's
probably
playing
want more
horns,
bass.
then sax and trombone I think tend to work better as solo instruments.
Also,
The
Webb's
trumpet?
totally not trying to live vicariously through you because he desperately wants one day to own and learn how to play a baritone saxophone.
Oh,
I would
yes.
love to be able to play a baritone sax. They're beautiful instruments that don't cost several £1,000s to buy.
Yeah.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
I think you'd be better off just with a harp.
But yeah, I have very little advice because I have never played any brass instruments. So I
I
would very
have.
much like to get into it.
I played flute, clarinet.
Is a clarinet technically brass?
That's woodwind.
No,
Oh, they're both
sorry.
woodwind. Yeah, I've barely ever.
Yeah, but
been
then again,
in
so
close
is
proximity.
sax.
Yeah, saxophone is also woodwind.
It's also
but
a woodwind instrument.
Yeah, in the brass section.
Yeah.
Because obviously.
Don't bring that up to a brass player because they will have a fight. They will fight you if you talk to a violin or fiddle player and call their instrument a fiddle or a violin. They will fucking go off on you. Jesus Christ, that's a great way to start an argument with musicians.
I always like telling Zoe, our sax player, that she played she played brass. That was always quite funny.
Or I love
No, it's a woodwind instrument. No.
It's like no, you're a horn player, and she's like, bitch. But yeah, playing the flute fucking sucked. Keys, those keys are bullshit.
I don't know if I've ever actually seen someone play a flute at a gig.
Maybe, I don't know. We've been to a lot of gigs. Clarinet is fine. It's just it's basically the grown-up recorder. That's literally it. Really easy to play.
Yeah.
It's all in the tongue. Yeah, I know what I said.
I have listened to a ska band that had a clarinet. They were, I can't remember, they came from somewhere in Eastern Europe and they were called Pest of a Child. And the way they worked it was that I think they had a clarinet and a trombone player, and what they tend to do was to have the clarinet playing in the softer parts of the song, and then when it gets into distorted parts, the trombone would take over because the clarinet doesn't work quite so well in that, but it works really well over just the kind of more traditional scary parts.
Oh, that's
It
cool.
was an interesting way of mixing the two. It was, yeah.
Yeah, so, basically, at the end of the day, go whatever the fuck you want.
Basically.
I mean, I guess, what do you have access to?
Yeah,
It's
because,
quite a good way of doing it if you see a good deal on a trumpet.
yeah, with, with wind instruments,
Oh,
they can be very expensive.
I actually do have a good piece of advice. If you want to get into playing brass instruments, you can get both plastic versions of both trombones and trumpets, a P-bone and a P-trumpet. They are a lot cheaper, but if you do get them, get a
Get
traditional...
a brass mouthpiece.
Can I say that again?
No.
You said brass.
Brass mouthpiece.
Brass mouthpiece.
Yeah.
Take the mouthpiece out of your mouth to say that, please.
No.
But yeah, get a standard regular metal mouthpiece because they sound infinitely better if you have one of those rather than the plastic one they come with.
Yeah, because they sound a bit shitty.
Yeah, but you can. But our trombone player Ben, he played a P-bone quite often.
It was a big
It
purple.
sounds great.
Yeah, and the only thing he replaced was the mouthpiece, which was standard brass one.
So
But yeah.
that's my one bit of actually good advice for learning to play those.
And have fun.
Yes.
Very last question. Malta.
Hello.
You have a budget for a rulebook, army book, and starting box for an army. What game and army do you start?
I have been quite tempted to do to get into Age of Sigmar, in all honesty.
Same. Just because the Ossiarch Bone Reapers are just so fucking cool. They're just... I like bones. I think bones are great. Can't get enough of them. Oof. Line
Big
my
fan of
house.
bones.
Big fan of bones. I just
Can't get enough.
Oh, I'm a
Bone Queen, they call you.
calcium is another one.
Tell you fucking tired, love.
Come on, that was great fun. And I'm going to censor it so it's funnier.
Yeah. Proving the point.
Proving the point. But yeah, they're just, they are so cool. And also, I desperately want to own a Gothazar Harvester. They are so fucking cool.
You just want a Dreadnought army in any game you play.
Yeah. A little bit.
I kind of want to play Lizardmen.
Very you, because you just like skinks.
Yeah,
I
skinks are
do
the
think
best.
skinks are cool, but I just...
You would definitely do a skink army if you weren't currently
he'd do
doing
a
a rebellion
skink
army.
rebellion army, and I would do a Gothazar Harvester army,
Dreadnought army.
like Dreadnought army.
We basically just make our two armies,
but just
in a
with different
races.
models.
But yeah, that's what
Yeah.
I would go for Lizardmen. I probably wouldn't go I probably wouldn't go quite so heavy on skinks, but I have a weird pull towards Lizardmen, possibly because they're dinosaurs and dinosaurs are cool.
If you want to suck a dinosaur's dick, that's between you and your reptilian overlord.
I think you would be the first person to point out that you can think something is cool without wanting to suck its dick.
Well, I don't want to suck a lightsaber's dick, but I think they're really cool. Although, how weird would it be if someone pulled a lightsaber on you and it was just like flopping around because there was a penis on it?
Okay, we are at 2 hours and 20 minutes of the recording.
Cool.
And I don't really want to have a full tangent about the mechanics of a floppy, a flaccid lightsaber.
Well, maybe it's just not feeling it, or maybe
So
it's
Matthew,
kind of,
what army box would you get in what game?
Yeah, no, as much as I'm saying, Age of Sigmar doesn't jump out at me. I do want to give it a go. What I really want to do, this isn't answering the question, but I've got an old start collecting box set of Bretonians that I bought just before fantasy was not a thing that existed anymore.
But you are a Bretonian.
Because
Because it sounds like Britain.
Yeah.
That's the joke, and now it's 10 times funnier.
I mean, I'm not, because Bretonia is more like Breton, which is North France, rather than Big Breton, which is
Well,
the UK.
I mean, you lived in France for like 3 years, bro.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but not the north of France, not Breton.
Oh, yeah,
Anyway.
you know what? Fuck me in the eye with a rake. Fuck, what the shit
But
do
anyway,
I know?
I want to make those into a feasible Age of Sigmar army, because I know that they've got the rules now for the various of the old Empire units.
Is it like Free Cities stuff or something?
Yeah,
like
the
that?
Free Cities came out, and they have like Knights units still. So I just want to, I can build my Bretonians, but run them as Free City Knight people.
Ooh,
So I think
sounds
it
fun.
could be feasible, but that isn't really answering the question at all. I already own a start collecting box. I'm trying to sort of wedge it into a
maybe you
current
could
into a
buy
different system.
the new one for the army you want to run, so then you have like double.
Yeah,
for the
I
same
don't know if there
price.
is a start collecting box for these Free City things, but yeah, let's say that as an answer to the question. Why not? Just to
That's
move on. And the very last question, second question from Malta, is what is your fondest wargaming memory?
Oh, that's something I needed to
Yeah.
I don't know.
have a run up to.
Yeah.
My fondest gaming memory was when I think I was playing against Unity's army and your army of your Argent Wardens, which are your Blood Angels,
Yeah, my best memes.
your specimens, and with a well-timed dreadnought like las cannon shot that managed to blow up his land raider. It rolled a 6, it exploded, and I think it was like D6 wounds to basically D6 mortal wounds to everything in a 6-inch radius, which is where everything that had been inside the Land Raider had been. And I killed everything. I killed the Land Raider, I killed everything apart from one standard Space Marine.
So left
Who
of
was
that
just
being
like,
the fuck?
yeah, I killed a bunch of Unity stuff as well, I think.
I don't think that. I think you're mixing up two games there.
Maybe.
Because I think that was a game with just me and you.
Okay, but yeah, so I killed basically a pie plate full of dudes apart from one, because you always gotta leave one alive, because dead men tell no tales. So yeah, that was like...
But then you killed that guy as well.
I killed that guy too. But it was just like, that was such an amazing fucking shot and series of events. So that I was quite proud of that. That was good.
One of the more recent ones was Close doing Purge the Pics. It was just weird.
Yeah, fun with that.
That was really fun. Yeah.
Drummerbot, what about you?
I liked what's Games Day called now that we went to? Warhammer Day.
Warhammer Fest.
Yeah, I like that. It wasn't a specific game that we played there because we didn't play any games there, but it was cool just sort of
Hanging out.
diving into the hobby a bit deeper.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that.
It was a great fun day.
Yeah.
Plus, I can't think of a different answer.
And hopefully next year we'll actually be able to go.
Yeah.
Rather than
Fingers
it just
crossed.
not existing.
But yeah, that's everything, isn't it?
Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you for your questions. Remember, get them in for our special 100th live episode. Make it special, make it good, otherwise you'll make me sad.
It's a lot of pressure to put on the viewer,
It probably won't make
listener,
me sad.
audience.
Oh, last thing actually, I'll just say, one of the people, and I can't remember who it was who emailed in, but they did say, P.S. read the subject line, and I read the subject line, and the subject line was Wib is wrong. So
Yes! Thank you, you perfect
I mean, there was
human
also
being.
a bit in the brackets after that saying, I don't think he actually is, but I don't want to upset Snipe.
I take it back. I take it back. And then it was like, the next brackets was like, I hope you don't read out the latter part, because then Snipe will be mad at me. And guess what? She is. But yeah, that's everything. Remember, stay inside, be safe, be kind, and we love you. Bye! I'm gonna go sleep now.
I think we're all going to go sleep now, honestly.
Everyone needs a little nap with the blankie. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.